Hello, welcome to Old School Movies podcast, where I, Nora, your host, will share my reviews on some old but gold box office hits in the late 1990s and early 2000s. Rest assured I will try not to spoil much of the golden details so that you can sit back and enjoy them later. For today's episode, let's dive into my top movie that exceptionally portrays different aspects of beyond an economic turmoil. Hello everyone, and we're back with another episode of the Old School Movies podcast. How has the first week of 2025 been to you? For me, nothing special has occurred yet. Maybe because my mind is still wandering around some beautiful memories at the end of 2024. Though it has officially ended for about 9 days, somehow there are a few moments of the past year still linger in me. The most emotional one is my coincidental encounter with my old foreign English teacher. She was the first foreign instructor that I got to study with. I was very surprised that we both recognized one another amid the crowd of shopping goers in the mall during the year-end sale. We didn't have much time for a longer chat except for some short catch-up and a bit of memory reflection. But such a brief greeting brought me to a flashback of one nice autumn afternoon studying with her. Somewhere in mid-September 2014, she introduced us to the first English novella called Of Mice and Men by John Steinbeck, an American writer, which uses the 1930s Great Depression as a background to tell the stories of different American lives beyond the economic crisis. Frankly speaking, I struggled to absorb all the literary terms, descriptions, and expressions. The novella was like a big jump for my low level of English proficiency back then. We had to deal with the novella for 2 weeks straight, and it was like a torture to me. I wished the time had passed faster as I couldn't get around 30% of its message each chapter. On the last day reading and analyzing the novella together, my impression about this book witnessed a swift reverse. Instead of conducting the regular discussion, my teacher asked us to fully pay attention to a movie of the same name, Of Mice and Men, which was released in 1992. Although I wasn't interested in the novella much, the movie delivered an indescribable sensation to me that I still have goosebumps right now whenever the image of that afternoon flashes in my head. Of Mice and Men 1992 was not just an adaptation of the novella. For me, it was an illustrative piece of artwork that emotionally portrays the fragility of the American dream, loneliness, and friendship loyalty in the beginning of 20th century. Of Mice and Men 1992, directed by Gary Sinise, is a poignant adaptation of John Steinbeck's classic novel. Set during the Great Depression, the film explores themes of friendship, loneliness, dreams, and the human condition. The story follows George Milton and Lennie Small, two displaced ranch workers traveling together in search of employment. George is a quick-witted but wary man, while Lennie, physically strong but mentally challenged, relies on George for guidance and protection. The pair share a dream of one day owning a piece of land and living off the fat of the land, a vision that sustains them in their struggles. On a California ranch, they meet various characters, including Curly, the aggressive son of the ranch owner, Curly's wife, a lonely woman yearning for attention, Candy, an aging handyman clinging to his own dreams, and Crooks, a black stable hand isolated due to racial discrimination. The film traces the tragic trajectory of George and Lennie's friendship as they confront the harsh realities of their world. Lennie's inability to control his strength leads to unintended consequences, culminating in a heart-rending decision by George to protect his friend from a mob's wrath, With its faithful portrayal of the source material, the film is a moving examination of hope and the bonds that connect us in the face of adversity. Friendship and loyalty are central themes in Of Mice and Men, 1992, particularly exemplified through the relationship between George and Lennie. Their bond is extraordinary in a world where loneliness and alienation dominate. During the Great Depression, migrant workers often led isolated lives, but George and Lennie's friendship provided them with a mutual support and a shared dream of owning a piece of land. This vision is more than a practical goal. It represents their hope for stability and belonging. Their companionship also stands in stark contrast to the lives of other characters, such as Candy, who clings to the dream to escape his solitude, and Crooks, who is marginalized because of his race. Lennie's trust in George and their repeated recitation of their dream not only highlight their deep connection, but also underscore the solace they find in each other amidst their harsh reality. Loyalty is another defining aspect of George and Lennie's relationship, manifesting in George's sacrifice and moral dilemmas. George assumes the role of Lennie's protector, guiding him through challenges and shielding him from harm. This unwavering commitment stems not just from obligation, but from genuine care. The ultimate test of George's loyalty comes when Lennie accidentally causes a tragedy, placing them both in danger. Faced with an impossible choice, George decides to end Lennie's life mercifully, sparing him from the cruelty of a vengeful mob. This act of mercy, though heart-wrenching, demonstrates the profound sacrifices loyalty can demand. Unlike others who might have abandoned or exploited Lennie, George's actions reflect the depth of his commitment to their bond. The film portrays friendship and loyalty as profoundly humanizing forces, capable of providing hope and companionship in the bleakest of times. At the same time, it acknowledges the complexities of these values, showing that loyalty can require painful decisions. Through George and Lennie's relationship, Of Mice and Men explores the transformative power of connection, even in a world defined by hardship and isolation. Watching this movie, my biggest question that I've never got myself a response: how did Lennie and George become friends? Why does George accept and even embrace Lennie's mental disability, which was not welcomed by most people back then? Were there any significant stories that led to this unconditional friendship? I believe that to some extent, the writer wanted to leave those parts on viewers' personal interpretation. But I think that the film wants to remind us of the unexplainable intimating friendship, where we receive love and praise for our beauty and also flaws, regardless of whichever era we live in. The concept of the fainting American dream is a key theme in Of Mice and Men 1992, explored through the aspirations of George and Lennie and the harsh realities they face. Their dream of owning a piece of land where they can live independently represents hope and a longing for stability. It is a deeply personal vision of freedom, allowing them to escape the uncertainty of being migrant workers and to gain control over their own lives. The recurring conversations about their dream provide emotional sustenance, helping them endure their struggles and maintain a sense of purpose. However, the film poignantly illustrates the unattainability of the American dream for many, particularly those marginalized by society. The era's economic and social inequalities create insurmountable barriers for individuals like George and Lennie, whose poverty and Lennie's disability make their dream nearly impossible. Their struggles reflect broader systemic issues of the Great Depression, where even hardest working individuals found themselves trapped in cycles of poverty. The dream's fragility is further emphasized by other characters who also long for a better life. Candy, an aging and disabled ranch hand, clings to George and Lennie's vision as a last hope for meaning in his life. Crooks, segregated due to his race, briefly allows himself to believe in the possibility of inclusion, only to confront the harsh realities of discrimination. The film shows that the promise of the American dream is not equally accessible, serving more as an illusion than a true possibility for those at the margins. Ultimately, the fainting American dream in Of Mice and Men underscores the disparity between aspiration and reality. While George and Lennie's dream symbolizes hope and the pursuit of happiness, its unattainability highlights the systemic inequalities that defined the era. This disparity makes their story both timeless and deeply tragic, a reflection of the enduring challenges faced by those striving for a better life in an unforgiving world. Loneliness is also pervasively depicted in Of Mice and Men, 1992, shaping the lives and behaviors of many characters, including Crooks, Candy, and Curly's wife. Their isolation, born of societal prejudice, physical disabilities, or unmet aspirations, reflects the harsh realities of the Great Depression and highlights the human need for connection and belonging. Crooks, the stable hand, is deeply isolated due to racial discrimination. As the only black worker on the ranch, he is segregated from the others, forced to live alone in the barn. This enforced solitude fosters bitterness and defensiveness, which he uses as a shield against rejection. However, when Lennie visits him, Crooks momentarily lowers his guard, revealing his yearning for companionship. His fleeting hope of joining George and Lennie's dream is quickly quashed by the reminder of his marginalized status, emphasizing the crushing weight of societal prejudice. Candy, an elderly handyman with a physical disability, also endures profound loneliness. His only companion is his aging dog, whose eventual death symbolizes his fear of being deemed useless and discarded. Candy's eagerness to invest his savings in George and Lennie's dream underscores his desperation for connection and a sense of purpose. His vulnerability highlights how isolation exacerbates feelings of dull worthlessness and fuels the longing for a shared future. Curly's wife, the only female character, experiences loneliness stemming from unmet aspirations and societal expectations. Trapped in a loveless marriage, she seeks attention and conversation from the ranch workers, though her efforts are often misinterpreted as flirtation. Her confession to Lennie about her dashed dreams of becoming an actress reveals her inner pain and unfulfilled desires. Her tragic fate underscores the consequences of isolation and the human need for understanding and empathy. The film poignantly portrays how loneliness shapes the actions and relationships of these characters. It drives them to seek connection in fleeting or fragile ways, whether through shared dreams, rare moments of vulnerability, or misguided attempts at interaction. Ultimately, Of Mice and Men offers a sobering reflection on the profound impact of loneliness and the ways it influences individuals in a world that often neglects the need for companionship. The film underscores the fundamental human need for connection and how loneliness can profoundly shape people's actions and attitudes in a world where isolation is the norm. George and Lennie's friendship stands out as a beacon of hope. Their bond not only offers mutual support, but also provides a sense of purpose, reminding viewers that shared dreams and relationships can bring meanings, even in the harshest of circumstances. A recurring motif in the film is the American dream, symbolizing hope and aspiration. For George and Lennie, their dream of owning a piece of land represents freedom and stability. However, the film poignantly highlights the unattainable nature of such dreams for marginalized individuals. Through its characters, it emphasizes the stark gap between ambition and reality, showing how systemic barriers often render these dreams elusive. Set against the backdrop of the Great Depression, the story reflects the unforgiving nature of life during tough times. Economic struggles, social pressures, and a lack of opportunities create an environment where survival often comes at a moral cost. The film paints a vivid picture of a world where the pursuit of hope is fraught with challenges. Yet, it also celebrates the enduring human spirit that clings to connection and dreams despite overwhelming adversity. So that's the end of my sharing today. I hope you enjoyed today's episode and found it interesting. For your convenient reference to the events I mentioned, please find the links to my blog page in the description, where I have compiled all related information. If you have any questions or you want to discuss more on what I shared today, please leave your comments below. I would love to talk to each of you more as well. You can search for more episodes of this Old School Movies podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and my own blog page. To cater to all of your preferences using different platforms, I am also gradually uploading all my podcast episodes on YouTube. Please also subscribe to my channels and stay tuned for the latest update. Thank you for listening to today's episode all the way to the end. And I hope to see you again in my next episode of Old School Movies, which will be released soon. Once again, this is Nora, your host. Thank you so much and goodbye.